I thought you said you didn't care about time. Maybe
no, but for the presentation, I think for the show, for the radio show, it's really nice to know where you are.
You're listening to Investpodden with Ronja, and this is Ted. This is a live episode from Epicenter in Stockholm, and our guest today is entrepreneur and investor Morten Lund. Welcome.
Welcome, Morten.
Can we get some applause for him, please? We're super excited to have you here. Well, here at the event, you've already spoken this morning, but we get to hear some new information about you. Like, what was your very first job?
So... I actually, you asked me before the show here, so I just remember I had a paper round actually from I was 13 till I was 16. So every second morning I had to do from 5 till 7, and that's still a very big nice thing because I had to get up at 4:30 this morning.
Oh,
and that's normal.
You still get up at 4:30 in the morning?
No, but I can if I want to. I normally go to bed at 4:30. But it's a really good thing to have had a hard, training and getting up early.
The discipline?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
There was something about tractors.
Yeah, and then I had my first other job, or...
Well, your first venture.
My first venture, probably, before that word was known in Denmark. So my grandfather, who was a smith, he helped me buy two, for 400 Danish kroner, equivalent to Swedish. We bought two of these lawn-moving tractors, and he helped me repair them. And then I walked around this little city and asked people if I could move their lawn. Very simple.
Excellent. So that was your first entrepreneur venture, sort of.
Yeah, and there was also first time I lost a client.
You lost a client?
Yeah, because I...
Did you fuck up?
I did it a little fast. And the tractor was very powerful. I was very sad when I went home to my mom and said that I lost a client. I think that's a good...
But wait, what happened? Did you mow the dog or something?
No, not that bad. I probably killed a couple of his flowers.
Oh.
But it was a very good lesson, because it's much harder. Everybody interested in business knows this whole saying that it costs 10 times the money to get a new client versus keeping one.
Yeah.
So I learned that extremely early.
Well, I was thinking that also you grew up in a sort of rural area or out on the countryside. Was there like a rumor then? Was it more difficult to get new clients because the client talked to other neighbors?
The flower killer.
The flower killer.
The flower massacre. No, no, I don't know. That was not. But we were also extremely lucky. So we were somehow. I don't know if it was some pesticides they put in the fields around where we lived. But I looked more or less like this when I was 13 and. As I just told you, I was the smallest of a class of 11 guys, and we were constantly Danish national champions in handball from we were 11.
But I don't understand. You're a big guy. Like, how can you have been a small? How?
Yeah, no, my best friend was.
They're all giants.
My best friend was 2 meters and 4 when he was 14.
Well, then anyone is small.
Yeah. Then you just get used to talking upwards.
That's my life. I'm tiny.
Yeah.
That's why I got a higher chair than both of you.
Yeah, I noticed that. Thank you.
But then you started your first venture. Well, second after the tractor thing, but with a couple of friends when you were in the 20s. You dropped out of school. Was that the best?
Yeah, it was actually not like that. It was a little bit before, because when I so through this handball thing. Before it became really professional, then I was too stupid to get into the university in Copenhagen.
Too stupid, or were you too lazy?
My grades were not good enough, and then I got a contract offered in Fyn, in Odense. You guys probably don't know, but it's in the middle of the country where Hans Christian Andersen was born. And that was so that contract came with a car and some, I think, a free Nike running shoes or something. I mean, I thought it was really cool.
Car and a pair of shoes.
I mean, you're 18. There's nothing more I could dream of. But and then I started in university, and I was playing at this team, so I had a fair amount of attention from all the sexes. Yeah, and I had a really good life. But then after the first year at university, I called my dad and asked him for some money for a holiday. And he told me that if there would be any money left when he dies, he will also set money aside to sue Microsoft Excel.
What?
So he would ensure that I never got any of his money, so I could try to make some of my own. And I really knew I wanted to go on a really nice holiday in Greece. So I got this idea that I could sell these student caps, studentmössor. And I hired a couple of friends. When we went, it was just the year after college, year after gymnasium. And we managed in 2 years actually to get 90% of the market.
Really? That's
But
big.
wait, was this in a city of 200 people, or this was a different city?
This was in Odense, and then we took the whole Danish market in 2 years.
Oh, wow.
While we were playing handball and studying a little bit.
What was the secret of getting that kind of market share? Because there were already people selling student caps, right?
But that was a classic. That was probably my very early introduction to disruption. I hate the word, but you can use it sometimes, because there was a company from 1847 who always did this, and they never thought about, branching out. So I just did a package. As I said, you can have this book, the yearly book. You probably have that here in Sweden. You have it here because I sold it here in Sweden as well.
You sold it in Sweden too.
And then we had this the cap, and then we had the T-shirt. You always needed a sweatshirt, and then of course I also put this. In Denmark, you have to drive with a car to visit all the parents. So I just repackaged that, and then. There was this super famous Danish model. She was a little young, so I bought an old picture of her. I bought the rights, and then I I photoshopped a hat on her, and it was fully legal, of course. And then so suddenly it looked like I had. It was a new. It was like a full service package, and it was this girl behind it, and we were 5 pretty aggressive young guys, so it was easy to sell.
But this seems to be like a theme. You said before, well, you got attention from both sexes. And I saw an interview with you, or if you did a speech or something, where you said, well, we started this company because we wanted to be surrounded by a lot of hot girls, and it worked.
Yeah.
So
before Me Too. We should probably be very careful. This was in the early 90s, before Harvey Weinstein.
Before the Me Too movement.
I wonder if that was your drive in your 20s, what drives you now? Or is it still the same? Hot women.
I think hot women is replaced with this environmental thing, because you get older, you can't fuck all the time.
Yeah, I get it.
It was very strange in the early 20s. So you could do it all the time. But no, it's it's I don't know.
Did you ever have time to work?
But it is a big driver in that age. And I think it should be legal to talk about. I mean, that was the reason we created that advertising agency. Because I didn't want to be the student sales guy. I didn't want to be the student cap guy. So we agreed to make the agency and move to Copenhagen. And it was a primary driver that we wanted to. And it's not only hot young girls. It was also be with inspiring young people and create something. I mean, why are people here today? That's to meet new friends and have interactions in all ways. And then I'm always just saying it as it is. You could package it a little bit smarter, maybe, but I mean, we wanted to get laid.
Yeah,
fairly simple.
Whatever works for you.
Well,
but it worked, and also
that's a true drive.
Yeah, and also you became rich. So 2 birds, 1 stone.
Yeah, that was smart.
That sounds like a smart plan. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's the reason I chose chemistry instead of the other stuff they had in school, because that was the only place they had any women in school, girls in the school. Yeah. So I totally agree.
Yeah, I never chose anything differently to be around a lot of women in school.
It's very sad, actually. Looking back in retro.
Okay, so hot women, and you also got rich. So what was it like to become rich?
Oh, that's
at that young age.
It's a very strange thing. It's all you ever dreamt of, but it's of course it's fantastic. Of course, I mean, but it's not the part about the money is very strange, because you can't feel more than a couple of 100,000 in your account. I mean, it's the last zero, the next zero, you can't really feel that. but you can easily start to get a little bit of funny habits.
Funny habits.
No, because so my psychology works so that if I do something, I think everybody thinks the same. That's how my brain works. So now that I'm all into this whole environmental thing, I can't believe that everybody is not sorting their food waste. So I get really surprised when I talk to somebody.
Yeah.
But I only started sorting my food waste 6 months ago.
Wait, what?
Yeah, I was very late on this.
You're a late adapter on
Yeah,
your brain.
Yeah,
But now once you're into it, you think everyone should be doing it.
Yeah, but that was the reference back to being wealthy. So I couldn't understand why everyone. It was strange that people weren't wealthy when I was. It was really strange. I mean, because then your whole picture, your world is like that.
Well, it's interesting because you've been such a successful entrepreneur. People say, don't build something for yourself, build it for other people. But it sounds like you're building it for yourself and just expecting people to have the same taste and feeling, or there's got to be something else there.
Yeah, but I was asked how it was to be rich.
Yeah.
So this is probably a different question. But it was strange. And super nice.
Super nice.
What was the first thing you bought?
So I bought I have really bad taste and I don't have any humor, but I do a lot of funny things despite. So all my friends bought big watches and Porsches. So I bought a 2CV in a galvanized, so it couldn't be rusty. So
Great.
that was what I bought. Yeah.
And you're happy with the choice?
Super. Yeah.
Okay, well, then that's all that matters. And also, I found it interesting that most people are nervous about cold calls or cold emails, and you sold banners online when you were in your 20s, right?
Mm-hmm.
And early adopters of the internet was the porn industry. Mm-hmm. And you said that you sold banners to porn sites. And I just wonder, how did you even get in touch with them? Was there an email of like, spank me at helloporn.com
Yeah.
or like how did you find him? Send an email like, hey, I can sell banners, or
No, I mean, but I remind me to answer the question the right way. But it's also
So there's a right way and the wrong way.
No, but there's another story to this because so basically since I was 16, I've spent at least half of my life selling. And people there was no sales mentor at this call today. There's no sales mentor. I do nothing else but, and that's the reason I'm here. I mean, I'm recruit. For me, this is recruitment. Some people will think I'm nuts and fucking, but I'll get 15 emails after this radio show because I'm saying something that provokes some interesting thoughts with the people I want to communicate with. So I'm in sales right now, and I've been in sales all my life. When we had the advertising agency, we had every partner, we were 4 partners, we had to do 20 cold calls every day.
You checked each other then? Just make sure?
Full on.
Oh, yeah.
And the guy who didn't do it, he didn't survive.
He didn't survive. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
So it's, because, I mean, that's the thing with entrepreneurship today. People think they can get this good idea and then things will be coming. But we're constantly in sales, and when we do these new companies and when I start new things, I mean, I might be interested now in this whole eco movement and sustainability, and that we clean up after ourselves. But before I start talking about it, I made the business model, so I know that, hey, if somebody's really interested, I can actually tell him or her, oh, you need to find 10 households who are in close proximity, then we will show up with our 5th element box. And then you can save 50% on water, 50% on electricity, and 50% on heating. But you can't save on the waste because the government will, in Scandinavia, will charge you for the waste. You can't opt out of waste. But that's fine. Yeah. But so we always know the business model, and we can always pitch. You can wake me up anytime and I can pitch,
you're ready to pitch
any of the projects I have, and I can probably make you buy.
And it's that, yeah. Well, probably actually. I saw the pitch before. I'm ready to buy.
Yeah.
But one of the things I see when we invest in startups and even scale-ups is that they sometimes are more technical and don't have that selling skill. Is that a part of your success and the people you've been working with, that you've been able to sell the vision or sell the product, or? Yeah.
So we're coming back to the porn question later. Yeah, but
Yeah, we're not forgetting
but
about the
I
point
don't
was, you know.
I don't consider myself successful.
Really?
So then what is success?
Yeah, you answer me.
We can talk about it later.
No, but I don't, you know, because I feel extremely lucky. I don't feel overly successful. I mean, I have a lot of shit I don't want to discuss here, but I mean, we all have a lot of problems and shit. I don't feel I don't feel successful. I'm just very lucky, coming back to that I came from advertising. So back in those days at that agency where it was funny with all these girls, because that's a funny story, we went up at 6. We pitched all day. If there was a client coming, we rehearsed all we could. We had a show going on, so he would feel home. We would know his wife's name. We would know his fucking birthday. We would know everything, because that's sales. But that's so deep in my DNA. And winning the first 1 million Danish kroner contract on advertising, remember, we had no idea what we were doing. That was because we rehearsed until we were a little bit better than our competition. Because you don't win if you're not better than competition. And if you're not better at sales, or if your product is not better. I'm actually with some super nerdy guys right now who have developed the core of this product with the wastewater treatment, but they developed it for ships. So they're running on all Maersk ships, all the Danish Navy, the Pakistani Navy, some of the British Navy, the Danish Royal ship, and it can take care of the piss and this and
all
the
the
shit.
waste.
Yeah, and make it into clean water so it can go out on Antarctica. But their product is so good. If you go to their website, you will not understand what they do. They don't have to do marketing. So it happens once in a trillion. But I mean, then I want to buy the company, because I know if you put marketing on this thing,
Goodbye. Explode.
then I know how to do it. Yeah. So I'm probably just the marketing guy. And then I'm very interested in whatever I go into, and I'm fast at adapting.
I think a big problem, we've talked about this in Investpodden before, I think it's an issue that entrepreneurs are not better at selling themselves, well, the pitching. And do you see any other mistakes that entrepreneurs do? Why they don't get the money, the investment, the customers?
Yeah, I mean, so let's also try to remember what the core of doing business is. So I think Warhol said it, that art is business, and the very best business, the very best art in the world is business, because it's all dimensions. And the best companies, remember, you probably heard about the company called SAS Institute. Mm-hmm. It's a massive, super good company. It's well run. It's one guy who owns it. He never called any fucking investors. He just built a company himself all the way. And there's quite a lot of those in Denmark. They're also here in Sweden, but you don't really know them the same way, because they didn't need capital, so they just built a straight good business. There's a lot of small farmers, a lot of butchers, a lot of nice small retail. They have a great business. So the whole layer of venture capital is also, it's extremely dangerous. I mean, so I've been on both sides of the table. I'm really good at raising money because I'm good at sales and I'm good at packaging this whole story. But I've also invested from the other side. So I've invested in plus 60 companies. But I was a super bad investor. I was the worst investor ever.
In terms of returns, or in terms of what you did?
Returns have been insanely good.
Yeah, so it's not in returns, it's something else. What makes you say you're bad investor?
But because I didn't, then so when I got rich early in my mid-20s, I thought I was a hippie, so I didn't want to follow up on numbers. It was the stupidest idea ever. I mean, ever.
So follow your numbers, okay.
Yeah, no, but I mean, you give a set of young guys money. But again, I thought everybody was kind of rich because I was rich. So you give a set of 3 young guys money. Of course, if you don't control them, they start flying business class and they go a lot to very expensive strip clubs. Yeah,
or buy their own airplane. Yeah.
So that whole layer. I mean, there should be a whole education. Like you take a driving license, you should have a license to be able to take people's money, because it's a recipe for disaster.
But then you invested in a company that you didn't believe in, Skype.
Yeah, but I didn't invest, remember? It's just because they couldn't afford their apartment, so I paid them because I liked the guys.
So you paid the rent?
Yeah.
Yeah. You got some
And-
shares.
Yeah, and it was fairly expensive rent. They lived in really nice places.
But wait, didn't you invest
But they
like
couldn't-
$80,000 or something?
I don't remember those
800,000
numbers.
or something,
Or if
yeah?
I did, I wouldn't-
$800,000?
Yeah, I don't remember.
Okay, anyway, it was a lot of money for most of us in the room, but
It was not for me at that time.
so it was just by mistake, and then you became richer.
Yeah, I mean, it was not only a mistake. I mean, I of course followed them extremely closely, and then we had, you can't imagine because Skype is being what it is, but then sometimes we would walk to the cash then at that time used Western Union, and so Jana's mother was supposed to send some money to him, and then we came up there, just three guys taking a walk. Then we came up, then there was no money. And then Nicholas says, oh, fuck, now they will stop developing in Estonia again. So then they stopped for a week. I mean, everything starts, I think Marco Polo said it, that every big journey starts with one step. Doom. And I'm just lucky to have been part of that first step for a lot of companies, because a lot of companies needs this marketing guy who can sell and package and at least be fairly ethical, yeah.
Did you do that with Skype?
Yeah. We went out to see 80 investors, and they all said no.
They all said no, even though
Everyone.
you're great at sales and marketing and advertising?
It doesn't help when you were suggesting the stupid idea of going up against Microsoft Messenger and ICQ, and you're nothing. I mean, it made no sense to make Skype. No sense.
But it was a different product. I'm just thinking, I was an early adopter because I even had the headphones and everything.
Very important point.
Yeah.
You had the headphones because
You had to buy
we
the
were just
headphones.
super lucky. At the same time as we launched, the sound card came into the laptops. So it came from the desktop computer without sound card, and then in 2 years the market changed to every laptop having a sound card.
Yeah.
How
That
lucky,
enabled
how
the
lucky,
technology.
How lucky can you be? I mean, we were super lucky.
Just
Sometimes
sounds like
it
you've
needs
been
a
lucky a lot of times.
I'm
though.
serially lucky.
Seriously lucky.
But you say that you don't say that you're, well, we talked about before the interview started, you don't see yourself as a successful man or businessman. But you are somewhat a successful investor anyway, because you got some return of investment. But what are some of the common mistakes you see investors do?
Well, most investors don't know what they're doing, basically.
Yeah.
Even the professional ones. I mean, we have
No,
some large
but
VCs or-
then you have the so you have the remember how it all works. So every Swede in this room is a huge investor, but they're part of these public funds.
Right.
And you don't decide. That's a gift you also have, besides the passport and all the other shit we get. And then you have a layer. So these funds, they have something called all the AB.
Yeah, AP-fonden.
Yeah,
and,
all these guys.
yes.
Yeah, they have then arms of that is called fund of funds. So some of the money they put into other funds. That's the smaller funds. That can be North Zone and stuff. They have different categories. They have a real estate fund. So they drip them into those funds. Then in North Zone there will be other people invited, and they will be going to all the. They'll be going to all the American universities. They have these enormous endowment funds. So Harvard and Yale and Stanford, they have these plus $20 billion funds. And they will also drip feed a little bit to the North Zone guys when they've shown that they can do 3 or 4 funds. So they have an idea what they're doing. So that's drip, drip, drip. And then there are wealthy people who somehow get caught by this idea that they want to do angel investing, which is it's a near stupid idea because it's so risky, yeah. But that can come from different motivations. So it can come from, which is very likely now, and this is why it's fun to watch the game in startups now, because then when the interest is low, rich people. So I know quite some families who have let's say they got 1 billion Swedish kroner. Somehow they inherited that from the mother, wrote some fucking books or whatever. That billion is now shared with 4 kids. Let's say mom is dead. So they have 250, let's say there's 10 kids for each of it. So they have each 100 million. So when they got this money, and it's funny to think about it, let's say that this was in 1990. Then the 100 million would mean that they could just cash in from the bank 10% per year. So they probably bought a little nice house in Mallorca. They could be frugal, be careful. But remember all that they bought, then suddenly in 2007-8, there's no interest. So now they're starting to take from their core. So the 100 million, if we play, they didn't get more. The 100 million is suddenly, it's going down to 97. It's going down on the way to 90. And they can see, hey, there's an end to this if we don't sell the villa in Mallorca. And then suddenly, and this is where we are now, they start thinking about maybe if we could make casino is a little strange. But this angel stuff could be interesting, yeah. So that's where pensions down, and then angels, pensions are top down, and the angels and all this is bottom up, and that's what those are the people that everybody's dreaming about getting to invest, and then I was just again super lucky that I knew all these guys, and there's nothing like, and let's go away from the analogy with women because that wouldn't work. There's nothing like being rejected at a restaurant, and then later coming back, and then getting in, yeah, and the same thing here with Skype. So all and it's a very good exercise to get a lot of investors to say no, because when it then works, they suddenly want to be your friends, yeah. And I was super lucky that everybody said no to Skype.
They're always right.
Yeah, and I've tried it. It's 10 times with something insane where I went around the whole world, all my friends, all my whole network, if they wanted to invest, and they all said no. And then 3 years later, it was $1 billion company. Yeah.
Yeah, and once it goes well, they say that was really well done last week.
But that's the thing. So what is the saying here? So the bankruptcies are orphans, yeah. They have nobody's a part of a bankruptcy, but a success has endless amount of fathers.
That's right. Everyone's in. I was there in the beginning. I was there. I helped them.
Everybody gave the first sperm, yeah. No, it's crazy.
Well, that's why I like your approach when you say you're lucky. I realize it's much more than just luck. It's skill. It's the sales. But like you said, it's a lot of luck as well.
It's an endless amount. But we can start with my speech this morning. We're extremely lucky just to be born here.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's insane.
I agree. I totally agree.
If we go to India, see where we could have ended up.
Yeah.
It's but I think luck is a big part, and then hard work. But that's also a given in my world. But I'm a little bit afraid with the welfare model. I don't understand why the welfare model don't create more entrepreneurs. Because you have social security, yeah,
and the lower risk.
No matter how you jump, somebody will catch you.
I used to live in the States, and I have a lot of friends risking everything for their idea, whatever that is. If they want to be actors in California, or if they want to start up a company in Silicon Valley, they risk everything, and they do risk everything. They can end up on the street, and we won't. So, what is why do you think that is here?
I've been thinking a lot about it.
Are we safety junkies?
Yeah, or maybe we're getting a little bit the boiling frog syndrome. You know, if you put a frog into a boiling pot of water, it will actually forget to jump out, so it will just die.
Because it's cozy and get a little bit warmer and a little bit warmer.
And then you can't get out, yeah?
You can't get out.
And I think that's
terrible.
Yeah, but that's probably the problem we have. I mean, there's also problems in paradise, yeah?
Of course.
Yeah.
So from your perspective, being both an entrepreneur and an investor, how do you define yourself? Are you an investor? Are you an entrepreneur? Are you both? Or are you undefined? Or
I'm not an investor because I think that I was very bad at that.
You made a lot of money.
Oh my God, wait. Why do you keep saying that you were very bad at that? You had a great return of investment.
Yeah, but
and a lot of connections.
I remember I also blew all my money, yeah.
But that was because of your venture, wasn't it? Your newspaper.
An investment.
Yeah. That's true. Entrepreneur, you will invest your own money and your time.
Yeah,
and
but there was
blood
there's
and
this
sweat.
strange thing, and I think we all have it in some ways. That. Yeah, so I remember when I was in high school, I had no idea what I wanted to be, because I mean I was I had an internship forced by the school in a printing shop, and then I think did I have another one? I don't remember, but that was all I knew. I had no idea what a lawyer did. I mean, in the countryside, you have no idea what a lawyer does. I mean, I saw dollars and Dallas, and that was about my picture of a lot of jobs. And then I think we're all snobbish a little bit. We all not snobbish, but so this idea of the grass is greener, yeah.
Yes.
So I was a very good creative, and I was very good at sales. So a lot of the creative work in our advertising agency was done by me. I was the only one who sat down and learned Photoshop to the max. So I can still play with Photoshop like very few people can. But I was really good at that. And then I got rich, and then I wanted to be an investor. Why the fuck? Why not stay? Why not just do my own project? I'm so good at presenting everything. Why invest in other people's ideas? Why not just sit and make?
Yeah,
my
that's
own?
my next question. Why?
But it took me 10 years to see, and a bankruptcy.
But I guess it came from somewhere. Did you want to give back? Did you want to be part of other people's venture? Did you want more experience? Did you want to play with everybody? What was the drive?
I somehow just got lured into the idea of becoming a venture capitalist, angel investor. But it's first of all, we all know it. Be very careful what you dream for.
Yes, you might
because
get it.
It's so boring. No, but you have all kind of idiots showing up presenting their really bad idea. And then when you give them the money, you know it's going to be wrong. It will definitely go wrong. But you want to be nice to them, and they stayed for red wine, and it was really cozy, and they had a very interesting uncle who knew something interesting as well. So it's such a mess, and I mean I feel so much with these venture capitalists, and many of them are also they're from finance background. And that looks strange from the outside, but they'll just keep the books. It's a super boring process. You have to meet the companies every week, hear all their excuses for why they didn't sell anything, and there's nothing fun in being an investor.
Man, Morten, you're getting me depressed here. I need to change my job.
Yeah,
We started a podcast about this. Okay.
yeah,
This is going to be life changing. It's going to be worse than you said.
There's nothing fun about it.
No,
I don't agree.
But it's interesting. So you found your venture of your life, or venture of lifetime. And I was thinking, you presented before today, and I was thinking about two things that were said. The one thing was that entrepreneurs are getting more stressed than anyone else on the planet. But you don't seem very stressed. Are you stressed being an entrepreneur? Do you see other entrepreneurs being stressed?
I think stress is a strange thing. Imagine if the word didn't exist. No, but there was this cholesterol. So in the 90s, suddenly everybody had cholesterol medicine, yeah? Then they found out that it was actually not needed. So now but nobody's taking cholesterol medicine. I mean, some extremely... But then all my father's friends and my mom's, they had to have their cholesterol medicine. But there it seems that was not needed. So we have a lot of that.
Yeah.
In society with what's needed and what's not needed.
Or is the difference that we're talking about it now and we didn't before?
Yeah, I mean, it's a new world coming.
And what's that?
So I think if you're not... So I tell my kids every morning, of course, once a month I shout, now we're in a hurry, guys. But I stop myself and I shout back, we're never in a hurry. Because we're not in a hurry, we just have to be there on time. That's what creates stress. So if you just go down, I've had super nice friends, who came over, nearly couldn't talk because of so many problems. If you write it down on a list and then take it one by one, there's nothing we can't do. And you can call the people who wants to kill you, guys call them and say, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it.
Is this from experience? You've done that? You call the people who wants to kill you?
No, after a big fight, it can be anything. Remember, in companies, you fight like monsters. I mean, there's endless amounts of fights in these early startups. because it's very big personalities.
Are you still friends with the guys who started your first venture with?
Everyone. Yeah.
So you survived the fights.
Yeah, but you can just call a couple of years later and say you're sorry.
A couple of years later, yeah.
Yeah, it takes some time.
Yeah.
There's a little time lag there.
As long as you're alive, there's still hope.
when you start insulting
Yeah.
each other's mothers and stuff, but
That's like 2 years.
yeah,
I
but
get it.
but that's what there's a lot of passion.
Yeah.
But let's keep let's stay with the stress. It's I'm not saying that it doesn't exist or it's like like the medicine I mentioned, but it's definitely a mental thing. Either you accept it or you don't. And in our family, we decide we don't accept it.
So you're not in a hurry. You just need to be there on time.
Yeah, of course. Otherwise, you're pissing somebody else off. And then you can get up a little bit earlier.
That's right.
I'm not a... Yeah, but I'm also very afraid of the whole everything on. I can find myself caught up in social media and all this information. Not necessarily social media, but I'm endlessly hungry for information, and I can find myself taking trips down. Then I understand this, and then I found out this works like this, and then I have to go back on Google and find out, okay, does it work like that in Pakistan? Oh, and it's like the same YouTube movie, but that's not the same as they do it in New Zealand, and then I call a friend in Alaska.
I call it the Wikipedia disease. When you start clicking on something and then there's another link and you can just go. There's no end to it.
He even travels to it then.
Yes.
He ends up traveling to it.
But that I would say. I foresee, and I saw Evan Williams, the guy who did Blogger.com and then Twitter. I was super lucky to sleep in his apartments when we were in our 20s and nobody had money. And already then he talked about creating some kind of an application that could filter the load. And this is 15 years ago, 20 years ago, shit. Because there's so much coming in, and I mean, you have to, when you're setting up your new Mac, you click that it's okay to get Facebook notifications, but then you have to go backwards and find how do you turn this off because it's clicking all the time. It's taking your attention from reading anything. Then you have your email notifications, and all of that. I think we are version 0.1 in evolution of using digital tools. I mean, my parents, they can't. I mean, if I'm with my father and his phone rings, first of all, it rings in the loudest tone I've ever heard. And then just to ensure that everybody knows it, he lets it ring for 4 or 5 times before he looks at it. Oh, and tells us all who it is, and then he picks it up in the middle of dinner. We're a little bit early on technology adoption, yeah? And I think my kids will be laughing at me, I mean, in the same way in 5-6 years when I haven't adopted to the onset, to the rules, but we don't. I mean, the teachers can't teach my kids because they're also old now. Yeah.
So I found a quote that you wrote in your blog, 2005.
Ooh.
Due to my psycho-aggressive investment style, I've been having big trouble getting enough cash to invest with the speed of the last 36 months, meaning that I've nearly been out of money. But now I will enjoy it a little bit of peace and put the volume to 10. Flirty smiley. And is this before or after you decided that angel investment is no fun?
Oh, this is from 2005?
Yes, it's from the blog Skype is Sold.
No, so after Skype, then I turned up the volume a lot. I invested in 30 companies. I was very busy.
Psycho-aggressive investment style.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
But is that because you just invested in people that you met at dinners and you had wine and you thought they were cool and then here's some money and then you moved on to the next one and gave them some money? Or when did you realize that you need structure?
So I always knew I needed structure, but I had a very interesting dilemma that very few people will have. So we don't have to legislate around that. But because I was young, I could not attract a senior CFO. So I failed in that period, over those 10 years, I probably failed on hiring 7 CFOs, because you need somebody to take care of your finances if you have a lot of money.
Yeah.
But they could see I was a little bit too young, a little bit too wild. They didn't want to bet their career coming to me. And I was not serious. I mean, I could have changed some things and attracted a couple of them, but I was also luckily a little bit rebellious, so I didn't want to, do it the normal way and create the fund structures. That was stupid.
I was just gonna ask any regrets, but
stupid. No regrets. Mm-hmm. Because that was how. I mean, then I wouldn't have been here now. In this part of my life, having learned all of this, and being, so what I haven't shown a lot, because we have to be very careful how we present. So what I showed this morning with this fifth element, the utility box that can definitely save you half of the money you're spending and be totally sustainable and clean. There's nothing bad coming out of it. It's food waste and shit and piss that works as energy and gives you flowers in the one end and clean water. The beauty model here. That came out of another project, which is my full focus now and will probably be what I will do. So we invented, with some of the best architects in the world and some of the best technologists, I wanted to mix. I looked at a very interesting couple of numbers. I always look at numbers, actually. That's another hobby of mine. So I looked at the construction industry. Over the last 20 years, the construction industry have had a 1% increase in efficiency every year. If you look at the mobile phone, I mean, they compare. So if you would take a Volkswagen Beetle, the beautiful little car, from 73, and compare it to the Intel chipset. The first Intel chip came in 73. So we know what happened to the chip. It's inside here. It's a fucking supercomputer. It costed $20 million. This little computer costed $20 million 15 years ago. But if you take the 73 route of the chip and then the Beetle, if the Beetle would have followed the chip, it would have been able to run 450,000 miles per hour. It would cost $4.
Sounds very safe.
and it would, I would not use any gasoline nearly because of this efficiency. Ola talked about this whole exponential. So I looked at the construction industry. So there was no efficiency increase, and we designed a system so that you have a 56 square meter, and we are in Europe, so you all know that 56 square meter is the room to there. It's a big room. It's not the suite you take when you're with your girlfriend in New York because it's too expensive, yeah? It's the big one.
It's the big one.
And then you have half-size 28 square meters. But those are fixed. You can't change how these structurally are. And then we designed them up to the max with Scandinavian interior design, all the sensors you need. So you know if somebody had been sleeping in the bed, how hard they fuck. You can't say that. You can know a lot of interesting things, yeah. And everything. Sensors are so cheap now. So we built that in, and then we built a story around that. And the essence of this story is that you can buy a boutique hotel with 10 rooms, 56 square meter rooms like this. You can get it delivered anywhere on the planet for $1.2 million. I mean, you can't even build a house in Sweden for $1.2 million.
That's really...
Here you get 10 suites. They're integrated with Airbnb. They have everything you need, and they have this fifth element, so they're totally sustainable. It's one package. But it was one of these things I've been fighting with it in my head. I've been testing it on my rich friends who owns islands, and everybody kept coming back to me and said, "Hey, Morten, this thing, we know you're doing some fintech stuff now, but couldn't you, when you come back, just let us know if you move on with this thing?" And then I released it 12 months ago. And I mean, I got some super good architects. I took some very, very cool investors with me. But it's 12 months ago we launched this idea, and now we've sold 2,500 of these suites.
In 12 months? That's incredible.
And we have no idea how to produce them. Oh. But it sells like crazy.
We have no idea how to produce them.
I have no idea.
That's incredible.
So what are you going to do?
Yeah, we're fixing it.
Well, you mentioned another thing this morning, which I thought was really interesting, which is also part of this, which is innovation and creativity, which is the other business, which is what you call the photon chemistry. Is that a part of solving the? Is that a part of this sort of creating how to solve the problem of manufacturing this and distributing it?
Yeah. So that's the core here is if you want to be sustainable, and so I created a couple of small funds, and I don't invest. So but I.
You still have the funds.
Yeah, I invest in. I give very cool new funds. If somebody wants to do a venture fund or an angel fund, I give them some of my shares actually as investment, because then nobody can lose. But if you want to do sustainable, then you can. Then I would really advise everybody to listen to everything with this guy called Thomas Friedman. So he's the columnist in the New York Times.
Yes.
So he has a whole chapter in his new book, and his new book is, by the way, called "Thank You for Being Late," because he interviews a lot of people, and he finds out that if somebody's late, it's so nice, because then he can sit there and chill out for a moment, read some news that he did, or listen to the table next, what they're talking about. But he has a whole chapter that is about using Mother Earth as your political advisor. So I adopted all of that, and I've been discussing with Friedman and his people in the last 2 years about how to do different things. And if you want to do something that is sustainable, and your only reference and your chairman is Mother Earth, so it has to be compliant, because we can't look at the plastic in the sea. There's so many things, we all know it. Then you can't cheat. So we're aiming at 100% sustainability. And 12 months ago when I started this, I didn't know that I would need this utility box, because I thought, okay, then they'll buy this shit, but I don't know how the pipes will work and all that. But everybody came back and said, can we get 200 units for Vietnam in 16 months? And can you fix the sewage and the water? But then we said, okay, so our suites, our units are 100% recyclable. So we can split it all up and see what's recyclable and what's organic. And we're, of course, turning up the organic part. And then we have this utility box that will take care of the water and coming in, the sewage coming out. We will have this orbital system showers. Mm-hmm. You should interview them next time. Down in Malmö, so you can actually put 10 liters of water in your shower, and then it will go on forever. But there's like a giant iPad with the 2 spectrometers in it, so when the water comes back, it will filter it, and if you just, shampooed your hair, it will go out. Otherwise, it will just loop. So you can, because when you had the shower this morning, you probably used 70 liters. But this is 10 liters, and it's like being a hot tub. I mean, a hot tub is fine, yeah? Mm.
Yeah.
Of course, it's just working. But we're implementing that as well. So we're aiming at this consumption down, recycling. But my point with all of this is saying that then you really have to dive deep, to do a deep dive into these things and fully understand every little particle. And this is where, and you will all see the miracle very soon, a year, or 2 years, or whenever you're ready. You will see that it's unbelievable that we haven't understood the power of biochemistry.
Yeah,
because it's clean. There's nothing coming out. And now, I mean, it's embarrassing. I didn't take a bio cup, but if this would be a biodegradable cup made on polymers which are bio and not from the oil industry, then you can dump it into your composting system, and it will just deteriorate. And then it all flows in a circular way, and because of the battery, coming back to this morning's discussion, because we have this battery, and it's beautiful that Elon Musk phrased it with the power wall, but that will come from many producers in the world. But because of this power wall, which is about 10 kilowatts, I mean, that means you can have your full-on hair dryer for 10 hours, yeah? That thing is going to lead a revolution where we can actually obtain full sustainable lifestyle.
That's incredible.
And this building will very soon also implement it. They just don't know yet.
That's the very reason I chose biochemistry in school, except for the women.
Yeah.
So except for this project, what else do you have on your agenda for the next 5 years?
So I have been very lucky to invent a couple of reinvent. So I have a factoring company which is helping small companies to get paid from big companies with a small algorithm. It's nothing special, but it's moving extremely well, and then I will probably focus a lot on my But this is the beauty. I don't know if I'm rich or poor, because I'll only be wealthy if the two of the 5 projects will work. But I'm pretty sure that it will work, because I have this endless self-confidence, probably from my parents. But then my big focus will be this. It's a company called SPV. Those who are from finance will see that it's the funny word for a special purpose vehicle. But this is called Sustainable Planet Ventures. And that's probably where we will spend most I'll spend most of my time, because imagine if I could be part of just helping 1% of the world to be sustainable in their.
Well, 1% is a lot.
Yeah, but I'm aiming higher.
That's great.
Yeah.
So, what will your life look like if you're poor?
I tried it. Poor. I was never poor, remember, because I have a lot of billionaire friends. But I tried 10 years ago not to. I mean, they picked up my art, and they couldn't pick up my cars because I didn't have any. And one of my favorite bicycles they picked up, because I owed a lot of some people money. I wrote personally on some guarantees in regards to this newspaper project, and I was not. I was not fired. It was not bad. It just. I think the dimensions are just crazy, because I was fairly rich, and then I had nothing. Then people are like, "Oh, wasn't it hard?" No, because imagine the insurance sales guy who got fired. He had to go home and tell his wife that they don't like me at work and I don't have a job anymore. I mean, it was like I didn't have to tell my wife because it was in the newspaper, yeah.
They did it for you.
and she knew really well. She knew really well, because I was always transparent. I took a big bet, and I know I could just get a job at an advertising agency. I can probably become a number 2 creative director in any agency here in the town. I cannot be number 1 because I'm not the best, but I'm very good.
But you were never on the streets.
No. Well, I slipped sometime on the street, because more for trying. It was another project, yeah.
Sure. Okay. I was just saying, young and drunk, or
No. I have I'm testing a lot of stuff. It's probably really stupid to say it here, but I'm also testing not to lock my door.
Yeah, that's really stupid to say. Yeah.
But I mean, trust. I think trust is the biggest thing ever. I also tried it with my car. I actually tried it with my car and left the key in it for 3 months. It only took 3 months till somebody stole it. But so I'm testing a lot of crazy stuff that we don't know.
All right. Let us know how it goes. Thank you so much for today.
Yeah, thank you.
so
Big
much
hand to
for
Morten. Thank you for being here.